These things are flying off the shelves. What you're looking at here is a 2025 Toyota Sienna, which is worth its weight in gold in 2025. These things are super desirable. Now, Toyota has updated it a little bit for 2025, and there are people way smarter than me that have done every kind of thing imaginable with this Sienna except thoroughly test its all-wheel drive system. So today, we're putting this minivan on the TFL slip test to find out how well this all-wheel drive system works, and we'll also do the usual review thing, and we might even get a little visit from a special friend later in this video, so stay tuned for that. Welcome to the TFL slip test. Now, the goal here is to get the Sienna stuck on purpose to see if the all-wheel drive and traction control can get us unstuck. So we're gonna put these rollers under various wheels to simulate snow and slush and tough conditions. Now, first up is the rear wheel slip test. So both rear wheels are stuck, and that engine and set of motors in the front is gonna have to get us unstuck. Now, up front, we've got a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine and two electric motors powering just the front wheels. So all of that's gonna have to work if we're about to get unstuck. So normal mode, like you drive it every day, in 3, 2, 1, nice and gentle acceleration, as if you're getting unstuck out of your driveway. We were able to pull on down, so super easy. That was an easy pass, but let's flip it around. Let's get the front wheels stuck and see if the rear wheels can push us off. So as expected, first test passed without a problem, but test 2, this is gonna be the revealing one because the Sienna uses Toyota's E all-wheel drive system. What that means is that every Sienna is a hybrid. Only some Siennas have all-wheel drive. It is an option, and when you get all-wheel drive, the Toyota engineers give you a third electric motor. So you get 2 in the front plus the gas engine, and then in this all-wheel drive one, we got 1 more in the back. Now, depending on the Toyota, sometimes that electric motor in the back is big and beefy and can easily push you off. Sometimes, like, to be honest, in the new Camry, it's pretty small and has a hard time pushing you off. So let's see where the Sienna is. Is it gonna be big beefy motor, or is it gonna kind of struggle a little? So in drive, we're nice and settled in the rollers, both front wheels stuck. Here we go, onto the throttle. Ooh, great result. So it took just a little bit of additional throttle, not a lot of spinning at all from the front end. Those bad boys pushed us off. That was a big win. All right, so I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, but let's start mixing and matching where we put the rollers and really make it hard on this car. Test 3, we've got opposite corners stuck in the roller. So left front and right rear are stuck. Imagine you're pulling up on like a snow-covered driveway. You get a little bit of suspension movement, couple wheels on opposite end of the car stuck. Let's see if the traction control can respond to get us unstuck. So as always, we're starting out in the normal drive setting. Into drive here in the transmission. We're nice and settled. Let's see. So applying a little bit of accelerator. Good result yet again. So what happened there is the left front started to spin, and then the brakes grabbed, transferred torque to the right front, just like in the back, and we got unstuck. So easy pass so far, but let's add a third roller in and see what happens. So we're really ramping it up a notch here. Now both rear wheels are stuck. Left front is stuck. Only the right front's on the ground. Now, this is a pretty extreme situation, one you're unlikely to find even in a tough winter environment, but we have to push these all-wheel drive systems beyond the typical situations to figure out what's what, figure out what's tougher than the rest. So right front is gonna have to engage if we're gonna get unstuck, into drive, applying some accelerator. Get a lot of wheel spin here. Traction control is flashing. Ooh, but we are pretty stuck. Now, not a lot in terms of modes I can engage. It'll help us in this situation. I've got normal, eco, and sport, and I also have traction off. Now, the thing about traction control is it's actually very helpful in situations like this because traction control is the computer wizardry that's able to grab the brakes and distribute wheel speed where it needs to go. With it off, typically the result is worse, as I'll show you here. So we get a lot more wheel spin, but we're not actually getting unstuck any faster. So that's kind of counterproductive. So traction control back on. Let's try the sport mode. Let's see if maybe that'll grab. Oh, cool beans. So check that out. So in sport mode, it was able to distribute wheel speed where it needed to go, and we were able to pull on off. So that was a was a good result. So clearly maybe there's some torque vectoring going on there in sport mode. All the potential is, we got enough wheel spin, we slipped off the rollers a little bit, but ultimately we were able to get off with a little bit of work. Now, I don't typically run minivans on the slip test. I usually reserve this for crossovers and off-roaders. But if you guys like this minivan test, drop me a comment below and I can ask Chrysler to send us a Pacifica all-wheel drive. We can also run some of the front-wheel drive offerings like the Odyssey, see what those can do. It's a little bit different compared to what other journalists do with these minivans, but I think it's still very important because people drive these vans in snow and ice and stuff all the time, even if you're not gonna take it off-roading. All right, final test. 3-wheel slip test with 1 rear wheel. So all wheels are stuck except for the right rear. So gentle on the throttle. Sport mode, it's eager to move, but we can be a little gentle. We're on full electricity right now. Ooh, there we go. Perfectly settled in the rollers. Let's go to neutral, make sure. So we'll start out in the normal setting and then we can try sport again. See if that helps us. There's no snow mode or anything in this van, but that'd be kind of a cool thing. Even if it's just for that little peace of mind, even if it doesn't help you that much, having some additional traction control intervention, getting going in the snow is never really a bad thing unless you're fully stuck. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. 3 wheels. Now, a lot of the Toyota systems struggle a little bit with this because there's no drive shaft front to rear. So we're relying entirely on that rear electric motor to get us unstuck. So we're gonna start applying some accelerator. The lights are thinking, traction control is freaking out. Well, we're not going anywhere. So let's go ahead and go into that sport setting like we did last time. That seemed to help us quite a bit. Come on, minivan. We are feeling extra stuck here. I can try traction off in sport mode. More wheel spin, but not getting us unstuck at all. All right, well, I really had to boot it, and I have a feeling maybe I threw some rollers off where they were supposed to be, but we did get through that in the sport mode. Traction on, I believe, yeah. You can smell burning rollers underneath us. It was a little violent, but ultimately we did get off. So upon further investigation, looks like it wasn't a total win. We actually got this roller hot enough from so much spinning that it blew out. You can actually see the ball bearings rolling around here. So wasn't a total pass in that last test, but listen, if you're just driving this thing in your typical winter, add some snow tires on this thing, maybe some all-weathers, and you should be just fine. I think that this is actually pretty good for a van. Here we go on the road in the Toyota Sienna. Now, what do you need to know about how this minivan drives? Not much. It drives like a minivan, right? If you want the most fun to drive in class, the V6 in the Pacifica, or especially the V6 in the Honda, they provide a little bit more engagement, but you're probably not buying a minivan for engagement. You're buying it because it's the best, darndest people mover on the planet, and that is exactly what this Sienna is. It is so quiet, refined, and comfortable. In fact, especially if you get a top trim platinum like this, there's not much to differentiate this between a Lexus in terms of its driving experience. It is so quiet and soft and refined in here. Now let's talk about this powertrain here. I'm going to come to a complete stop on this 60-mile-an-hour road. No one's behind us. Put it into sport mode. Why the heck not? Go ahead and mat it. All right. So nice little bit of hit of torque, slows down about 35. Then you see that buildup of that gasoline engine there, 60 miles an hour. The thing about this powertrain, right? It's officially an eCVT, and when people hear CVT, they think of a belt and a cone that's going to wear out and break after 30 or 40 or 50,000 miles, whatever. The Toyota eCVT system does not have a belt or a cone, in fact. It uses what's called a planetary gear set and a series of electric motors to send power to the wheels. And it's a very brilliant system. It's somewhat actually similar to a Model T Ford, but instead of using bands, it's way too in the weeds. Anyways, planetary gear sets are awesome. Now they do behave a lot like a belt and cone CVT from a driving experience. You still get kind of that constant RPM whine of the gasoline engine as it sits right in its power band, but you have that benefit of not wearing out essentially a failure point in like a Subaru CVT. So I don't have an issue with it whatsoever. So let me do a quick thing on style really quick. It's a minivan. All right, good, Mary, that's good. No, really, I don't know what to say. Folks don't buy minivans for overall design. I think this green and this platinum trim is really good. For 2025, you get some new wheel options. It's a minivan. It's not what you buy it for. What you probably do care about when buying a minivan is the interior. And let me tell you what, the interior on this platinum is next level gorgeous. So I feel like Sienna always was kind of the mainstream minivan, and then Kia with the Carnival really took it up a notch in terms of luxury, and then Toyota had to meet them there with the new Sienna Platinum, and there are some really cool features on the inside. Now let's start out with the seats. There are a few different seat options available. For example, the base Sienna has a standard cloth seat, mid-line trims have a soft text, but this is a real leather interior inside this Platinum, and it is a two-tone finish, which is great. So the top portion is this kind of perforated white material. The bottom is black, but they've continued white stitching along the bottom portion of the seat. And what's great about these is, of course, they're heated and ventilated, but I actually think this color combo works pretty well in the minivan because you get this kind of premium look of the two-tone, but then you get that durable black bottom. If you've got kids in here, right, spilling stuff, it's not gonna show up as it would on the white. Now the door panels also two-tone, a white upper with a dark lower, and then white stitching throughout. And then when we come to the dash layout, there's a couple of notable things. Now this is a 12.3-inch touchscreen display. Entry-level models have an 8-inch. This is gonna be very, very familiar if you're used to Toyota infotainment. There's not a ton to talk about that's different in this compared to others. Every Sienna has standard wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and I do love that they have a volume knob, even if it is just a teeny tiny guy. Now below that, you are gonna find automatic climate control, dual zone in the front here with controls for the rear as well, both left and right rear, so a total of 4 zones inside this car. Some physical controls underneath those for your heated and ventilated seats. For 2025, Toyota has upped some of the charging capability for your devices. We've got a faster wireless charger, which is located there underneath the screen. Very convenient, just stick your phone, get that thing charging, and then behind it, got a couple of cup holders. Physical shifter, which is great. I much prefer this over like the Pacifica dial. And then behind that, we've got 2 more cup holders, so a total of 4 in the front, and pretty good size swing open center console with this, which we'll talk about in a second. But a really nice feature is if you have a purse or a bag, you don't want to stick it in the back, you can stick it underneath here through this little pass-through. Coming over to the driver cluster here, we've got leather-wrapped stitch steering wheel, contrasting white stitching, 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. On the left side of the steering wheel, we've got, in this top trim, memory seats, automatic headlights, got all the goodies. The only thing that's really missing is a big sunroof. This is a pretty small sunroof considering the price point. Now, what about fuel economy in this Sienna? Well, that's one of the areas where it really shines. If you get a front-wheel drive Sienna, it's rated at, what was it, a Cybertruck with a Chevrolet badge on the front of it. If you get a Sienna with front-wheel drive, combined rating is 36. If you step up to all-wheel drive, like in this car, it dips down to about 35 mpg, which when you consider the size and form factor of this machine is very impressive. That is awesome, awesome, awesome fuel economy for just the size and weight of this Sienna. I would definitely recommend getting all-wheel drive, especially if you live in a snowy environment, but even if you don't, it's really gonna help you in resale down the road if you ever wanna upgrade your van. One of the great things about the Sienna is there's a built-in kick sensor underneath the sill, so if you've got a bag full of groceries and you need to stick them in the back seat, you never even have to touch the handle. That is super cool. Now, I'm gonna be honest, folks, if I had this as a kid, the back seat of this Platinum, I would be spoiled rotten, as I don't think I would turn out very well as an adult, because the amount of luxuries back here, this would be the high watermark for any 3-year-old or 5-year-old. It's so luxurious. Let's start with some of the crazy features. Now, the legroom doesn't seem that impressive here, right? Like, it's pretty good, but compared to the size of the van, until I pull one handle, and then I can practically move these seats into the 3rd row, and even at 6 feet tall, I can go full extend. Or let's say you wanna recline, well, you can do that as well. Pull another handle, fold that back. Or let's say your feet are feeling a little tired after a long day of kidding. You can pull this and then a little ottoman will extend. I mean, this is unbelievable levels of comfort and luxury, and that's just getting started. I just discovered something even crazier about this ottoman. You can pull it up like this, and then it extends all the way. So if you want to lay completely flat, you can do that. That's nuts. Now, of course, you do have 2 cup holders here, but let's say you want your kids to have some nice and frosty juice boxes. This is a cool box. It's only been on for a couple minutes now. It's already getting frosty, and there's even a couple different settings for the cool box. But let's say those kids, they got their bag of Cheerios and then they spill them everywhere. Well, there's also a vacuum, which we're gonna test out outside. All right, we gotta test the vacuum in the Sienna. Let's see if it's more than just a gimmick. Now, included are a couple of different hose attachments. We've got the big one, we've got the brush, that's pretty cool. We've got the crevice option, and then here comes the hose. So the way this works is a little pouch here. It says dry use only. So this is not a wet vac. And we're gonna go ahead and stick this end in, twist it. Now the car does have to be running, which it is. Let's give it a test. Oh, pretty good suction. It's actually pretty strong. Not that I have a ton of experience with the Honda vac, but I do have a little, and this feels stronger than either the Honda or the Chrysler. But we gotta put it through a real test. Oh yeah, that's right. We got the Frosted Flakes. So I'm gonna simulate a real life situation. I'm a little kid. Oh God, Frosted Flakes everywhere. Look at that. Oh no. Oh, and then he steps on them. Oh, look at that mess. All right, it's time to deploy the vac, or I'm gonna have to get a different vac. So, vac on. Oh, look at the action. Wow. It actually works really well. Very, very good. That cleaned up that mess like it was nothing. Now to empty the vac, let's go ahead and untwist that. Pull off that little panel. Pretty small little compartment, but let's pop it open and see if the Frosted Flakes have made it into the compartment. There's actually a filter as well. And sure enough, there are the Frosted Flakes. So now we can empty these out, and we're ready to tackle the next mess. So actually, very, very useful. And last thing I want to check, let's see how long this hose is. So will it reach the front seat? Mary, you want to open up that front door? Oh yeah, no problem. Look at that. Easily will reach the floor. And then what about the third row? All right, third row. Oh, easy. All the way to the trunk back here. This is very useful. Beyond that, you also have heated second row seats back here with 2 more zones of climate control. So like we said, total of 4 zones. Each rear seat does have a little net back here for some bottles. Good size storage behind the front seats, and just crazy, crazy, crazy levels of comfort back here. It's almost unbelievable. Now, this is, if you might notice, a 7-seater. If you do want an 8-seater, you can get a bench back here. But let's go ahead and check out the third row and see how that works. So to get in the third row, you can, of course, squeak between the captain's chairs, or one lever operation. Does this little foldy thing, and then that'll slide forward. One problem with this, though, is you can't move this forward with that fold. If you've got a child seat in there, you just gotta use the slide, which is probably good enough, actually. But getting into the third row, let's see how the space is back here. So let me go ahead and put this thing back to a reasonable position. Oh yeah, guys, this van is so unbelievably comfy. You even have a little bit of third row recline back here, so you can really lay back. You got 2 cup holders on each side, USB-C charging in the back here, and even little peasant blockers. So Tiny Tim doesn't get confronted by the celebrities, by the TMZ, by the paparazzi. Wow, turning circle is crazy. Crazy good turning radius in this car. What we're seeing in this Sienna is something that other countries have found out a lot of years ago. And I'm talking about specifically countries in Asia, China, Japan, Korea. If you ever go to one of those countries, what you're gonna notice is you don't see high-ranking business execs, people with money being driven around in sedans. That's not really a thing anymore. You also don't see them being driven around in these big monstrous Escalades that clog up the roads. In many parts of Asia, the symbol of status now that you've made it is being driven around in a van. Yeah, now hear me out. Their vans are a little different. but not that different than the Sienna. So talking about vehicles like the Toyota Alphard, the Lexus LM, which stands for luxury mover, a vehicle I'm pretty sure we might actually end up getting in the US, just because I think that it would sell huge numbers in the US, and the Sienna has been such a big success in the US. But what these luxury vans offer is more space and more comfort than a luxury sedan like an S-Class or a Lexus LS, right? But they offer more versatility and ease of use than like an Escalade or a Suburban or a Navigator. These luxury vans that you see abroad and what we're starting to see in this Platinum Sienna really are the ultimate in refinement, because as time progresses, luxury is more than just a status symbol. It's a space to have as your own pod of comfort, your own solitude. And that's what these vans offer that you don't get in a sedan because it's just too small and compact, and that you do someone get in like a full-size SUV, but at the cost of just an enormous footprint. This van is much smaller than a Tahoe, but in reality, it's much more useful than a Tahoe. You don't need a ladder to get in and out of it if you're a little guy. If you're a parent and you need to get someone in the third row, you're not trying to like climb up this behemoth, you just plop them in the third row. But at the same time, you get reclining captain's chairs, you get a cool box, you get heated rear seats, you get climate control back there. I mean, so much luxury just crammed inside this thing, and the doors open wide, so it's easy for ingress and egress. It's the best solution, and I really do think that a luxury minivan would sell in the US. I know there's still some stigma, but who cares what the stigma is if you're watching a 50-inch TV while you're being massaged and heated like in the back of a Lexus LM. It's just better. It's awesome, really. So let's check out the trunk of the Sienna. Now, this vehicle does have, in this Platinum, the kick sensor. Not too many times. They're actually getting better, those kick sensors. I remember 10 years ago they were horrible, but now they're working. So to put down this third row, it's a one-arm operation. So you pull this handle, boom, look at that. Let's do the other side, 60-40 split. Oh, very, very nice. Now, there is no spare tire in the back seat of the Sienna, which brings me to today's sponsor, Modern Spare. Guys, did you know over half the vehicles on the road don't come with spare tires? And if you want that peace of mind, especially if you've got a vehicle like the Sienna where you've got a family, you're worried about road trips, Modern Spare supplies spare tire kits, not only the tire and the wheel, but everything you need to change it. So check them out using the link below. Anyway, so that folds down nice and flat. Let's go ahead and check out how the second row folds. Now with the second row in place, I can pull this lever from the trunk and then push that all the way forward, and you get a very impressive trunk. Now it is worth noting that you could remove second row altogether, but there's no stow and go like Chrysler has. So that's one advantage that Chrysler has, but if you need more space than this, you should probably stop having kids. All right, I promised a special guest, and this is the specialist of guests. This is Nova. She is our kitty. She's a Siberian, and she is a couple of years old, and she is going to help us test one of the most important features inside this Toyota Sienna to see if it works. Let's go check it out. So this new Sienna has something called Advanced Rear Seat Reminder, and it's supposed to help with not only babies, but pets as well. It's got these incredibly sensitive sensors in the headliner with millimeter precision, is what they say. That's not the word. I'm just gonna read it to you. Millimeter wave radar sensor in the headliner to detect heartbeats, breathing, and movements in the second row, designed to prevent children or pets from accidentally being left behind in the vehicle. So there's a 60 gigahertz millimeter wave sensor in the headliner above the rear seats. So it's gonna be right about here. And it's supposed to give me a series of alerts. It's also supposed to work with pets under blankets or things under covers, because it's got very, very sensitive ability to sense for movement and heartbeats as well, even for things on the floor. So we've got Nova, she's strapped in. I'm gonna go take her for a little ride, then we're gonna park the car, lock it. For the record, it's a nice and cool day. It's perfect weather, it's only about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna be around the car at all times to make sure she's doing okay, but I'm really curious to see if the system will work. So this is a very, 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 very important piece of new safety equipment that Toyota is implementing. And what I'm curious to see is how the alerts work. Now, at first, it's supposed to give you many, many beeps of the standard key chime. And then if we wait 90 seconds, it's supposed to honk the horn. And if we had it set up to my phone, after a certain amount of time, it would also send me notifications. And after a couple minutes, it would even call my phone to tell me, hey, you've left a little one behind. Now, I'm not sure it's gonna work with Nova in her little carrying case. It should though, because this is a very realistic way people transport pets. So we're gonna park the car and make sure I have the key here with me. There we go, key off, driver door open, driver door closed. I'm gonna lock the car. So the car is locked. Does it see Nova in her little carrying case? Let me make sure the feature is engaged. All right, car's locked again. Now, I did poke through the infotainment system and even check in the owner's manual to see. That was it. So 9 beeps after you walk away to let you know that there's someone or something still in the car. So it's working, that's great news. So that's the reminder that, hey, something's still in here, but let's give it 90 seconds. And after 90 seconds, if Nova's still moving in there, it should honk the horn. Whoa! Okay. Wow! That worked, right? And that was loud, right? It'll get your attention. If I had done nothing for a little bit longer, it would have texted who's ever associated with the app, and then it would have ultimately made a phone call to alert you, hey, something's still in the car. So that was actually very cool. It took us 2 tries to get it to work, maybe mess something up the first try, but definitely works. Very, very cool.
No, no treat. Can you sit? Oh, what a good girl. Thanks for help, Noves.
So folks, I think it's fair to say that I'm thoroughly impressed by this Toyota Sienna. Now the Platinum, you know, we're looking at $59,000 a spec, which is a lot of money. If you get a more basic one, you can get them as low as about $40,000. But the reality is, people know how good this thing is, because in some cases, people are still paying over sticker for these brand new Siennas. And for 2025, they've just made it even better. In my opinion, this is the gold standard for minivans. I think that the Chrysler and the Kia and the Honda all offer some features that this vehicle doesn't. I really like the design of the Kia. I really like the plug-in hybrid of the Chrysler, and I like the simplicity of the Honda. But as an all-around package, you just can't beat the Sienna. And $59,000 is a lot of money, but when you consider the average new car price now is $51,000, the fact that you can get reclining heated captain's chairs with ottomans and a built-in vacuum is actually not that crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy behind the camera, Mary. We'll see you in the next one. Let's try that again. She doesn't love me, but she probably won't love me anymore after what we're about to experience here. That makes it sound like I'm gonna, I can't use that. This is gonna be a terrible shot.
Wait, hold on.
This is not RuPaul's, Mary. If you've got a bag full of kids or maybe a bag full of groceries, might be more appropriate. Toyota can't keep the Sienna on the playground. God, that's not what I wanted. This features, oh well, she's coming out. Come on, Micah, use your whole brain.